Hey everybody, how you doing? I apologize for my lateness and moving this back, but lot had to make sure I was working properly, not necessarily associated with this, of course, but such is the business. I am making this because I am really excruciatingly uh, sad over the way AmeriGas has, in on balance, and I say it on balance in italics, treated my mother. My mother is now 90 years old. I have been here as, you know, helping her out as a caregiver, although she hates that term. My mother's very independent, but she needs someone here, and I'm the only child. And I decided a long time ago that this is going to be something I'm going to have to do. And so here I am. And over the last, in particular, I would say, well, I think it's fair to say the last 10 months, um, I've started to see the worst in people essentially exacted to my mother. For example, if it's not the healthcare system basically pumping her with many different types of painkillers in order to get her blood pressure down on the night of July 15th, and then triggering what later became a colitis problem, and we had to deal with 5 trips to the hospital, her calling the ambulance because she felt like her breathing his was severely interrupted, or and go on, or um, simply because she was bloated and couldn't stool, and then of course the breathing problem would start again. Those would trigger the calls to for 911 to come to a point where it was just habit that the EMTs were here, and I got to know a number of them on a first name basis. That's not a life to live, and I want to thank the Fayette County EMTs for their wonderful service. But the bottom line is, and then if it wasn't that, it was in the emergency room at Fayette Piedmont Hospital. These two nurses, African American to be sure, okay, decide they're going to yell at my mother simply because she had a blood pressure strap on her that was too tight, and my mother's laying in a gurney. I'm vlogging her being there. I was so upset. I went and vlogged the problem. They got tired of me vlogging. Now they know who I am. All right, and they have been stellar in their treatment of my mother. Fortunately, my mother hasn't had to go back this year because one of the people there took empathy, that word that Elon Musk doesn't like, empathy, and made a book of what my mother's medications my mother should be taking and shared it with me. Okay, empathy is the basic theme of what I'm trying to present to you in terms of how unhappy I am with AmeriGas. And it's empathy that has to be called for here. I have to say something before I get into the meat of my presentation. I posted on a Facebook user group called AmeriGas Sucks. I don't think AmeriGas sucks. I just think AmeriGas needs to change. It just simply has, look, of the consumer groups out there online, there's only one with 1,200 members that's active, and it happens to be that one. Okay. And they do a fantastic job. And all the people that are on it, they're not trying to make fun of AmeriGas. They are unhappy with how AmeriGas has treated them. And they have been very helpful in my plight to get my word out, and also to find advice as to what to do. A lot of people there are resigned to the idea that AmeriGas doesn't care and won't help you. That's really bad. That's 1,200 people there, the majority of which appear to believe that by my exchanges. That's not something that AmeriGas should want at all. And I'm asking for everybody, if you see this, just please, share it. Please share this live stream and make it viral. That's what I'm asking, because I want to simply use, by digital media, the tools to cause AmeriGas, not make, but cause AmeriGas to be a better company toward the elderly, starting with my 90-year-old mother. I mean, what has happened here is just simply outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. AmeriGas has, for reasons best known to itself, had no problem hiking my mother's monthly rate from $154 a year ago, all right, to $405 a month. That was what they proposed. I raised as much Hades as I could. They stepped in and said, we'll drop it back down to 326. It was still 200% higher than it was before, roughly. And so, without any explanation, all right? No explanation. I got gobbledygook reasons that were easy to see through, all right? And the simple fact of the matter is it's treating people like that is just something that should not be done. It's not necessary. It shouldn't happen. It's not something that people should be doing. It's not right. Price gouging is illegal, all right? It is illegal. And this price gouging was done during the height of the winter months, where it really started to escalate. The price increase was manageable during the middle of 2024. But come November, it went up to $300. My mother was overpaying. And then they tried to say, okay, well, now you have to pay, I believe it was $3,000. They wanted her to pay the whole balance for no reason. There was no reason given for it. All right, no reason. It looks to me like AmeriGas has some sort of deal with real estate companies where they say, hey, we see that there's this African-American older woman in this home. Let's price her out of it. Because chances are she's got a mortgage and she can manage and she's old. We're going to price her out of it. That's what it looks like to me. How else would anybody explain this exorbitant rate increase? Okay? How else? Other propane companies don't do that. I've checked. Okay? There's no reason for AmeriGas to do this. Not at all. Okay? It's an increase of over 200% in just 1 year. And not only that, folks, 2025 was a record year for the propane industry. You hear me? A record year for the propane industry. All right? A record year. You have my doubts? Take a look at this that I found, this neato bit of information that I found from the Petroleum Organizing Organization that's based in Washington, D.C., National Propane Institute, I believe it's called. And they laid out a very nice graph of change, okay? Of change. And it was shocking to see that propane demand, all right, propane demand was at its highest. It set a record. That's right, it's a record level of propane demand in 2025 because of the cold weather. All right, because of the cold weather. I'm looking at what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to show you. It's the AI overview, because you can type. All you have to do is type it yourself. This is the AI overview on Google, and here it is. Right here. Record. All you have to do is type record level of propane demand in Google. You'll get this page. Okay, you'll get this page, and the page, when enlarged, you can zoom in on it. Once, twice, thrice, and once more with feeling here. And you can read, in January of 2025, U.S. propane consumption reached a record level, hitting 1.48 million barrels per day. This marked the highest January consumption since 2005, the highest for any month since February 2007. The surge in demand was primarily attributed to severe cold weather across the country, increasing heating needs, record consumption, historic context. The driving force was, hey, the cold snap, all right? And they said that the record consumption led to a surge in propane prices, with the U.S. Energy Information Administration reporting that wholesale propane prices at Mount Belvieu, Texas averaged 0.81 per gallon during the winter heating season. Okay? During the winter heating season, an 18-year record recorded by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. An 18-year record. All right? And so you might ask, are propane prices rising or falling? All right, but get this. U.S. residential propane price at a current level of 2.616 is down from 2.69 last week and up from 2.567 1 year ago. It's a change of negative 75% from last week and 1.91 from a year ago. All right. My point is that these price changes overall have been minuscule. There's no justification for driving my mother's monthly propane price from $154 a month all the way to an absolute crazy level of $405 or even $326. There's no justification for it. AmeriGas had demand. You don't have the demand and use the demand to take advantage of people. That's precisely what's been going on here. They made no attempt to actually say, hey, Mr. Abraham, we're really sorry. We didn't know this was occurring. It's horrible. And you're right that here's the kicker with respect to Georgia law, folks, okay? The price increase that I showed you, or I told you about and showed you, that happened is against Georgia usury laws and price gouging laws. There is a standing law in Georgia that businesses should not price gouge and will not price gouge during state emergencies. The winter weather in Georgia amounted to a state emergency. You hear me? A state emergency. AmeriGas was violating that law in the middle of that. And that's okay. That's bad stuff. Why do that? It doesn't reflect on the person who is the new CEO, and that's Michael Sharp. Michael Sharp was kind enough last fall when he came on board from Houston to step in and help me on behalf of my mother. And to that I say publicly, God bless you and thank you. But Mr. Sharp, your staff is not following your lead. Your staff is literally placing AmeriGas in jeopardy of being in trouble with some state or combination of states with respect to these pricing policies. You've got to stop it. All right? Okay? The fact is that the majority of users of propane are homeowners, and that means they're more likely to be elderly. AmeriGas has a spiritual duty to take care of its elderly customers. AmeriGas has failed to do that in the case of my mother. AmeriGas should not treat 90-year-old single black women or 90-year-old single women, period, or 90 or 80-year-old or 70-year-old like they treated my mother. All right? Everyone watching this who may be associated with AmeriGas, I ask you one question. Would you want it if AmeriGas treated your mother like that? Okay? Think about it. In my business, I treat everybody as if they're the only person on earth. I do reputation management for clients, and I'm very good at it. Right now, I'm saying to you, please follow my lead as a CEO of my company and have empathy. I don't care what Elon Musk says about, the problem with the Western civilization is that they have an empathy chip problem. It's not a problem. It's the seeds of what it makes America the most desirable place to be on earth. The reason why we fell behind economically is because we forgot about our empathy chip and how powerful it is in a world full of mono-ethnic countries. Let me go back to my 1987 thesis from Berkeley called A Theory of Decline, the American Institution of the World Economy. I posited that the way for America to, if you will, fight back against the onslaught of import cars being dumped literally by the Japanese, because they were actually subsidizing businesses like Toyota in Japan such that labor costs were paid for, and you were not paying for the actual production cost of the car. So they could bring the cars over here to America and sell them at cut rate and not have to worry about not turning a profit because the government was filling in the gap. America could do and can do the same thing. We did not. We kept talking about market forces. There has been no such thing as free market forces. It's always been managed by governments trying to bend the market toward their own will. The one great thing that President Trump did recognize was what I just said, even if he's going about solving the problem the wrong way. But my point is that, and this specifically has to do with AmeriGas, you run the risk with a strategy that is not empathetic of igniting policy such that there will be a call for the public control of the propane industry and management, as much as any other utility. A number of you don't want that, but you're causing the planting of political seeds to bring that about sooner rather than later. Don't think that because Donald Trump is in place, it's, hey, I can do what I want to and I can treat people like crap. Because, look, President Trump is not out there to do that to people. He's out for an entirely other set of reasons that have nothing to do with this broadcast. And I know what they are. But my point is simply this. In order to get to a point where AmeriGas profits are not impacted, where their future is assured in a way that it wants, is to simply be nice to your customers, particularly your elderly customers. Because in an internet age, I am tired of going around. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, and seeing negative upon negative upon negative upon negative upon negative upon negative upon negative and negative postings about Instagram. Even you, Michael, went to a publication very recently, LP Gas Magazine, and among other things, you pledged better relationships with your customers. You are an outstanding person to cause that to happen. But you're literally fighting with your own company. I can see it from a distance. You have to make your charges come around, because the way that they're acting is such that the kind of AmeriGas that you want to maintain won't be around in 5 years. It will be changed by government action. And a lot of people in the petroleum industry won't like it. Just be nice. Just help those who can't help themselves. Just help those who want you to be nice, who would beat a path to your door if you were nice to them, if you helped them. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you can't say nice things and say, I'll nice them to death, but then I'll treat them mean when it comes to the pricing. It's the same thing. Be nice to my mother. Reduce her rate. Don't terminate the service on her just because, which, by the way, is what the letter implies, but it doesn't look like the letter was seen by the CEO. Weird stuff. And then the letter that was sent to us, folks, had, among other things, when you went to check the payments that we owe, because we've been paying, simply that, hey, look, they had the same payment requesting twice. In other words, the same February date twice for the same amount, which is clearly a mistake. You know, you don't exist twice in the same day, okay? That's what they put on there. So clearly someone didn't pay attention to what they were doing. I can go on with the other mistakes as well. This has been the blind leading the blind, people handling this emotionally. No. People trying to contact my mother rather than contacting me, who represents my mother. All right? That's wrong. My mother's 90 years old. She needs the help. That is why I'm here. Please do not disrespect my position as the mother, the son of my mother. Okay? That's absolutely wrong. I am asking you publicly to stop doing that. Please do better. I know you can. I know you can. And to close the loop on my other foray into international economics, what you're causing will cause America indeed to be that country that was outlined in Thorstein Veblen's famous book called Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy. He posited that America would be a socialist country, and arguably we're already there, because capitalism would crumble under the weight of a political system where each constituency was trying to get what it wanted. And that's reflected in our government today. And so here comes the President Trump trying to destroy key elements of that government, which represent hard work done by constituents getting laws to be changed in Congress, including, for example, the Civil Rights Act and others. You can't just rip those apart and call it a day. That's the archaeological custodian, Congress, and the laws of American history. You can't just rip those out. They're there for a reason. Respect them and know them, because you cannot get rid of them at all. We don't want kings in America. And those people who might say that they want authoritarian government, if you actually look at their arguments, actually saying they only want authoritarian government if their point of view prevails. Since you have a lot of people with different points of view, guess what you get? A democracy. All right. Please, AmeriGas, recognize your role in all this. Do better. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube, the Vlog Report with Zenny62, and bookmark zenreport.com. That ends this stream. Thank you.